that has the strategies for the clientele that you serve? Who qualifies for these services?
Well, we've expanded that quite significantly over the
Have.
years. Yeah,
Yes.
if there is a person, regardless of the relationship to the military member who served and then ultimately wound up dying, whether that was an active duty loss, it was perhaps a person who served and they were a separated veteran or a retiree, if there is an individual impacted by the loss of someone who served in the military, we are here to support. And again, we're going to tailor that support to wherever that person is, connect them with whatever resources make sense. And we receive a lot of calls for people who aren't necessarily even looking for us, but maybe they think that we have the answer to a place where they can turn to for a specific need. If you call our helpline, you are going to get some resources to deal with whatever it is that you're coping with. Even if you are peripheral to our mission, we're still going to try to do the very best we can to get you the help that you need and at least
That's
point you in the right
powerful.
direction.
Audrey, I know nonprofits who shall go unnamed that actually have a waiting list for services. So I want to repeat back what I just heard. Even if it's peripheral to what you do as far as services, if a person calls that helpline, a person's going to answer that phone call and they're going to help that person through your other partner resources. That's powerful. There's no
Absolutely.
waiting list for your services. Is that what
No,
I'm hearing, Audrey?
that's absolutely correct.
Wow.
Yeah, we are going to do everything that we can to meet the needs of a hurting person coming to us. And that's why we put so much effort into partnerships to make sure that we do know, if we don't have the answer, that we know the person we can call on to get the answer. And so we want to be as well networked within all of the spaces we work in, to be able to get the answer for the person. I mean, when you're on the phone with a person who is deep in grief, you want to be as supremely helpful as possible. That's the way I would want my family treated.
Yeah.
Why not do everything that you can to alleviate a person's suffering? We're human beings. We need to alleviate other people's suffering.
I just love the fact that it's live help. There's no waiting list. And if it's even outside of the scope of what you do to help someone in grief, you've got partners that will take the beautiful handoff and then bring them back to TAPS if need be. I think that concentric part of the services of TAPS is absolutely amazing. And again, Audrey, I've been in this for 16 years doing what I do. I have never found one nonprofit who does what TAPS does. And it's just amazing to me. So my next question, how how can we as an organization help TAPS grow? How can we as organizations who look at tragedy assistance program for survivors and love it the way that MSECN and Vet Jobs loves it, what can we do to help?
I think the biggest thing is about education. There are still a
Education.
lot of people out there who don't know we exist. And that's one of the reasons that we partner. Since we partnered with the VA, the numbers of veteran families who are finding us has gone up dramatically. There are still a tremendous number of people who can benefit from the work we do and getting the resources that we're able to provide, who just simply don't know that we're here. Word of mouth is incredible. Sharing our resources with others, learning more about what it is that TAPS does, looking at our website, gleaning additional information there, going to our Institute for Hope and Healing, watching some of our webinars that are archived, and sharing that information. Using your network to be able to share the information with others.
Audrey, did I hear Institute for Hope and Healing?
Yes, you did.
Oh, we have to talk about that.
Yeah, the TAPS Institute for Hope and Healing is an incredible
I
opportunity
just
that
got
we have.
goosebumps.
Oh yeah, well, why wouldn't you?
Oh,
Hope and Healing, and it's Christmas time. of course, we do this year round. So hope and healing doesn't just come in at Christmas. We don't just want to instill hope and others through the holidays, but that's why we work tirelessly throughout the year with the Institute, which is a part of TAPS. It was birthed out of TAPS. To be able to provide world-class education related to grief and all of the things that come along with it, providing hope and tools for adults, for adults helping children, for those who have had a loss to suicide and specific relationships, whatever the case may be. Our website has a fantastic archive of grief and education materials that people can go in and just on demand, watch a webinar that meets you where you are, but to watch it and then share it with someone else.
See, Audrey, that's amazing. That's amazing to me, because how many times do we go on the websites or we find, oh my God, I want to learn about this subject, but for $39.95, you can look at our video series, right?
Right.
Or for $39.95, you can get our book. And here, TAP says let me get the title correct, TAPS Institute for Hope and Healing, live on-demand training on your website, absolutely no cost.
That's absolutely correct.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So obviously we need foundations and personal donors to understand how amazing this is. And you're not government funded at all. Is that
Right.
correct?
That's right.
So I can send people to the TAPS Institute for Hope and Healing. No cost. It's not for
No cost.
$39.95. Let's learn the secret.
That's right. You won't have to do that.
Yes.
Now we do have some webinars that are specifically, they carry CEUs.
Oh, sure.
And now that comes with an expense if you're wanting to get CEUs, and it's one of those.
Well, of course.
But if you are just wanting to enhance your understanding of this space and how to support people, and how to support yourself, I can't think of a better place to go and to get that information. And the speakers are literally world class. They are experts in the field of death, dying, bereavement, suicide postvention, children's mental health. The list just goes on and on, which is why we love networking and finding these partnerships. But it's also full of personal experience of survivors themselves. So, you're going to get a broad variety of both intensely personal perspective and professional education and perspective as well.
Audrey, why do you think that there are still so many people who, as you said before, doesn't know that all of the resources that TAPS has, that it's still unknown to them?
Well, I think that I think that in this time of the internet, there's just so much information out there that you could get lost down a rabbit hole and never actually find what it is that you're looking for. So we don't want to be a needle in a haystack. We want to shine the light from the tallest mountain that we're here. And it's helpful if everybody is helping us do that. So that's one thing. I think that there's just a tremendous amount of information out there. But I think there's also a self-identification that people have. I do or I don't belong in this place or that place. So there's still perhaps a perception that because we support those who lost a loved one in the military, that maybe that's only those who died in combat. That couldn't be further from the truth. There was a time in our history where the majority of people coming to us had a loss to combat. But the reality now is that the majority, 34% of the people who are coming to us have had a loss to suicide or illness. And that is after the service members lost very frequently. So it's not just active duty losses. So I think that there's maybe a misunderstanding on some people's part that we only support those who had a loss to active duty. We certainly support our active duty losses, absolutely. We just don't stop there.
So Audrey, let's say one more time, who does TAPS serve so that we can put it out there ourselves? Who do you serve?
We serve anyone who is experiencing the loss of a loved one who once served either active duty or have separated or retired from the military.
Wow, that's a lot of clientele.
Yeah.
That's a lot of clientele. Audrey, what would be your tips to help someone over the rough patch of holiday grief? And then, of course, those tips are going to be so vastly different from someone who's in deep grief. So I don't even know how to ask the question without phasing that question.
Sure.
So I guess tips for grief. What would I would imagine alcohol intake, perhaps watch your alcohol intake, watch your calorie intake. See, that's all I know to do. That's all I know how to do.
Well, then let's start there.
Okay.
And I think that I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do more.
Okay.
And sometimes it's not about doing more. So you're talking about refraining from alcohol. Obviously, and we'll just start there. I mean, it's incredibly important to refrain from alcohol, which is a depressant. It can also
Yes.
it can also dehydrate you and cause headaches, and so you can feel physical manifestations of alcohol use. Not just that, but also maintaining a routine. A lot of people throw out their health. They throw out their health routine when it's the holidays. They can eat more, and then they're bloated, and they're not sleeping well, and so it's important to maintain a routine. It's also very helpful because depending on what part of the country you live in, maybe you've got fewer sunny days. Especially if you live in the Northwest.
Oh, Audrey, you're the only person who's had the guts to say that out loud. I know people that when it's not sunny, you don't go near them because they're cranky.
Right.
They're cranky
Well, I mean,
when it's not sunny.
A seasonal affective disorder is a thing, and maybe you don't actually have seasonal affective disorder, but maybe you have some tendencies toward that. And getting out and having some sunshine, even some people do a light therapy box, a little bit of ultraviolet light exposure.
Perfect,
I mean,
Audrey.
it can elevate. It can elevate your mood. It can increase your energy. I find that really helpful, especially when you have a series of really overcast days. If you're starting to have some mood effect, why not?
Audrey, this is so important. Dan and I were based in Iceland, where it's dark 24 hours a day, and they have a lot of indoor pools with great lighting. And it occurred to me that every time I went swimming with those great lights, I came back feeling better. So do you think water therapy is good at this time? Just some sort of swimming pool activity or?
I think all kinds of thinking outside the box therapies are helpful. It doesn't surprise me what you said about Iceland. I'm aware of their geothermal pools, and they're open year round, which is amazing. In Alaska, for example, there are more tanning beds per capita in Alaska than any other place in the country.
I did not know that.
Right, and it's for the same reason, because around winter solstice, I mean, they don't have a whole lot of light, so you really have to do things to offset your natural tendency, whether it's because you actually have some personality tendencies, or some depression or anxiety disorders, whether it's a true mental health diagnosis that you're struggling with, or just you're in a funk, and you need to move. When you move, your grief can move with you, and everything in your life becomes more malleable, and it increases your resilience. It improves elevates your endorphins. So whatever it is that you can do to offset the holiday blues, to cope with that anxiety, I think it's really important. But I think it also starts with mindfulness.